guys, it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. As you guys saw by the title of this video, today I'm not talking about makeup, I am talking about books. If you guys have been here with me for a while, you guys know that I really like to read. It's one of my other greatest hobbies aside from makeup. And every now and then I throw in a book related video on my channel. Some of you guys like it because I know some of you guys like to read as well. So I'm gonna share with you guys the top 10 books that I read in 2017. I'm gonna leave all the Goodreads links down below so you guys can check them out if you are interested. These are not gonna be in any particular order, so just FYI. The first book that I'm gonna talk about is After You by Jojo Moyes. This is a sequel to Me Before You. Me Before You was also turned into a movie, if you guys didn't know that. But this follows the events of that book, so it's a sequel, so I can't say much because it'll be a spoiler. But I have to say that I really enjoyed this book. A lot of people didn't like the fact that Me Before You was turned into a series. They thought that that book should have been a standalone. But and a lot of people didn't like this book actually, but I actually loved it. This follows Louisa after the events of Me Before You, and I liked it because I feel like in this book Louisa rediscovers herself. I feel like she kind of forgot about herself and was just taking too much time taking care of others in Me Before You, that she was kind of like left back, and I feel like in this book she took charge of her life and she decided to do things for herself and just grow as a person and follow her dreams. So I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read the third one. I think it's set in New York. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember seeing it on Goodreads as coming soon. So really enjoyed it. If you guys haven't picked up Me Before You, you guys should, so you guys can get to After You. It's a really good story. You guys would like it. Second book that I'm going to talk about is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. This is a historical fiction book. This book is going on around World War II. It follows 4 teenagers who are escaping from the Soviets, and it follows a sinking ship, the Willem Gustloff, which is actually an actual ship that sank back in the 1940s, and it actually, more people died in that sinking than on Titanic, which I didn't know that. So after I finished reading this book, I went on to Google and I read as much as I could from that story because it's not very well known. So I think that Ruta Sepetys takes things from a history that not a lot of people know of, and she turns them into stories, and the stories like stay with you, and you can't help yourself but trying to learn more after the story ends. Like I said, this follows 4 teenagers trying to escape the Soviets, and so it has 4 different points of views, and then towards the end of the book, all the different stories combine, and then you get your finale. It's really good. This book made me cry. If you guys like to shed a tear here and there, I would suggest that you guys pick this book. If you guys like historical fiction, you guys should pick this up. If you guys are fans of the Titanic and you guys want to know more about sinking ships, you guys should get this book. Really good. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a sci-fi thriller, I guess you can say. This is a tiny book, but it packs a punch. This story follows this man. What is his name? I can't remember. Jason. This book starts with Jason, just living his life, going to work with and then coming home to his wife and his children, or one kid. I can't remember if he has more than one, but anyway, he goes to sleep, and then the next day he wakes up and he's a totally different person. He's not at his house. Well, he's himself, but he's not at his house. He's not married. He doesn't have his kid. He's working for, some other company, and then things get real. So this book follows Jason trying to figure out what is going on with this change in, not identity, but reality. Maybe it follows parallel universes, and of course it's sci-fi. There's like scientific things going on here, experiments going on, so it's just really cool. It reads really fast. Before I knew it, I was like I read this in 2 days. Like I started it one night, and then I went to sleep and I finished it the next morning because I just breezed through this. It's really good. Like I said, if you guys are into sci-fi / thriller books, I think you guys would really enjoy this. The next book that I'm going to talk about is a tiny novella, and this is The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. This book is about 60 pages, and Gillian Flynn is the girl who wrote Gone Girl, which was also turned into a movie. And this book left me wanting more. That's why I had to put it in this top 10 list. But this book follows this girl who she doesn't have a name actually, but she's kind of like a con artist. You know, she's always tricking people and doing things like that. So one day where I think she's like at a museum or an exhibition, I can't remember, but she joins this group of women who are talking, and she tells them that she can read cards, like the tarot cards, and she can do like all these things of that nature. So one of the women asks her if she can come to her house and do kind of like a cleansing ritual, because she believes her house is haunted because her son is kind of like starting to act up. So this girl goes to her house to try to do like the cleansing or whatever, but then that's when things start getting real, and she's like, oh crap, what did I get myself into? Like, this is not something that something actually is going on here, and I can't, like, you know, con my way out of this. This story, like I said, it's very, very good. It goes, I mean, of course it goes super, super fast, and it left me wanting more. I wish that this story had been a full book so I could get the whole story, because before you know it, it ends and you're like, what? I need to know more. So that's why I put it in this list. Really good, really fast read. Of course, you guys should read it if you're into thrillers. The next book that I have here is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is a YA contemporary novel. This follows this girl, what is her name? Natasha. It follows her on the last 24 hours before her and her family are to be deported. Apparently her dad did something. He was arrested for something, and the consequence of him being arrested was that him and his whole family have to be deported back to Jamaica. During this last 24 hours, she meets this boy and they fall in love, and she tries not to, but he's trying to like convince her and help her to not be deported. So this is really, really cute. The deportation is not a spoiler because that's what it talks about it in the back of the book. But it has a very satisfying ending. Sometimes I'm a little worried when books take place in such a short period of time, because I feel like it's not going to be enough time to invest yourself in the characters, and sometimes you're like it's not realistic what they go through in the short amount of time. It's not realistic. But the author in this book did a really good job about letting you become invested really fast in these characters, and you really get to feel for these people. As an immigrant myself, I can't imagine having to go back to a country that I really don't know, because I didn't grow up there. So this story is really, really good. I really recommend it. This will also make your eyes water, if not cry completely, but it's really, really good, and I really recommend it. The next two books that I'm going to talk about are from the same author, and that is by Jenny Lawson. This book right here, it's Let's Pretend It Never Happened, and this follows her story. It's mostly a true memoir. And how cute is that little mouse? And she talks about this little mouse in the book. So there is a point to this mouse being on the cover. But this book is really funny. It's her life story. And sometimes when you're reading this, it's like, do these things really happen to people? Like, and I listened to this on audiobook, and she narrates it in a way that is so funny that even though it's kind of like horrible, it makes you laugh just because of the way she says it. It's really, really funny. I recommend that if you guys decide to pick this up, read it. Listen to it on audiobook because it's really funny. The author reads it herself. The other one is Furiously Happy, also by the same author. And this talks about her battle with anxiety and depression. Again, you wouldn't think that subjects like that would be funny, but the way she reads it is hilarious. These two books had me laughing out loud. And it was nice to like come home, and I couldn't wait to get home so I could like listen to a little bit more of these. These are really, really funny. I really do recommend them. Then we have a big one here. This is It by Stephen King. I'm not gonna go too much into this one because everybody knows what this is. If you guys haven't heard of it, I don't know where you guys have been in the last ever. Apparently there's of course the movie that just came out, and then there's a mini series that came out in the 90s, which I haven't seen, and I haven't seen the movie either. I read it because I wanted to watch the movie, and I have a thing about reading the book before the movie. I don't know. But I haven't made myself watch the movie. When I was watching the trailer, I'm like, okay, it looks creepy, looks scary, but it doesn't seem like so bad that it makes people afraid of clowns. I've always thought like that was such a dumb thing for people to be afraid of clowns, but like after reading this, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be prepared. And as I was reading this, I could see like little like flashbacks from the trailer, but I haven't yet seen the movie. I'm kind of creeped out to see it, but hopefully I'll be able to watch it soon. This book is really good. Not my favorite from Stephen King though. My favorite one from Stephen King is Full Dark No Stars, but even though this book is very big and it took me almost all of the month of November to read it, but I read kind of fast. Like you're never bored reading, like when is it gonna get to the good part. Like even like the first chapter when you know the big thing happens, you're like whoa. So I surprisingly enjoyed it, and if you like scary books, I think you should give this a try. Then I have Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt. This book is another sad book. This book follows, it's set in the 80s. This book follows a girl whose uncle dies from a mysterious illness. The thing is that her uncle and her mom, they were siblings. They weren't very close. They had a little bit of a fallout. The girl really doesn't know why it happened. But then when her uncle dies of a mysterious disease, she meets somebody at his funeral, and then all of a sudden she becomes close to this person that she met at his funeral. And then little by little she starts uncovering what the big secret was that her uncle kept, and that it turns out her mother knew as well. So when she finds out the secret, she feels very betrayed, both by her mom and her uncle, whom she loved. She was very close to her uncle, and he was a young guy. He's not like an older. He was like, I guess in his 20s, maybe 30s. So she was very close to him. So this story just follows her trying to come to terms with the discovery of this secret that her uncle kept from her. And she feels very betrayed because she thought that her and her uncle were very close. So for her to find out after his death and not being able to, I guess, come to terms with him personally, because, you know, now he's dead, she feels very betrayed. So this story is very, very sad. I did cry with this book as well. And I think it's a really good story. And last but not least, I have Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Now, I was a little bit iffy about picking up this book. I read Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. I thought it was okay. I read Eleanor and Park. I thought it was okay. I wasn't in love with those books as other people seem to be. And this book had a lot of hype going into it. So I didn't know if I was going to like it already, because I already had two not so great experiences with this author. But I am happy to say that I was pleasantly surprised. This follows two twin girls who have graduated high school and are going into college. One of them is kind of very introverted and a little bit nerdy. She has a blog where she does fan fiction for Simon Snow, which is this book's Harry Potter. But her twin sister, she is more outgoing, and she's all about living the college life. So, you know, she wants to go to the parties, and she's the popular one. She wants nothing to do anymore with that blog that her sister is writing. So Kat, the introverted sister, she is feeling very left out, and it's just their journey about, you know, becoming their own as twins, embracing their individuality, and about that sisterly love. Actually, because of this book, I picked up Carry On, because Carry On is, I guess, the book that she's writing in this book. So I can't wait to start reading that other one. But this one is really cute. It's a cute book. I can't describe it any other way other than a cute book. So if you guys like those light, fluffy, it's not like brainless fluffy, but it's a cute contemporary story, and I think you guys will like it. So that's it, guys. Those are the top 10 books that I read in 2017. If you guys are interested in any of the books that I just mentioned, like I said earlier in the video, all the links will be in the description box below me. And I hope you guys find something that you want to read. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.